God is a caring and a relational God. It would only make sense that we would place him first and central in our lives. Well, welcome back to Psalm 16. We're in part 2. Make sure you go back and watch part 1 and put these both together as a great teaching. But moving ahead, we're going to look for verses 7 and 8. David writes, I will bless the Lord who has given me counsel, and my heart also instructs me in the night seasons. And I have set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. As we said last time, the idols made of wood or marble cannot offer comfort or that counsel, but our God can, and our God will, during times of prayer, reading the word, times that we might be serving other people, as well as he sends other people our way and he counsels through them. The Apostle Paul describes God as the Father of mercies and the God of all comfort, and we are supposed to comfort one another, help one another with that same help that we have received from him. And he helps us day after day, all day long. But it also says there that even in our night season, even at the midnight hour, maybe you've been there before, maybe you're there right now. But know that the Bible also says that he gives songs in the night, and he will never leave you, day or night. And so David's emotions then could be stable as God guided him through his day. And that's a good word for us today. David also wrote in Psalms 4 that I will both lie down in peace and sleep. And sleep, for you alone keep me in safety. And God counsels us as God brings to remembrance that time we spent in the Word, the times that we had past victories, and he brings them to our memories. And even the songs that we've singing during a worship time. But we can also receive bad counsel, can't we? We receive it from media and social media, our friends, and some of the songs that we hear. Proverbs 11:14 says, where there is no counsel, the people fall. But where there is a multitude of counselors, there is safety. But imagine those who don't spend any time in the presence of God, never in his word, never in a Bible study, never in a church prayer group, or even praying alone in their closet. We have to place ourselves, I believe, we have to place ourselves in an opportunity to hear. In this noisy world, we have to place ourselves in a place that we can hear that counsel of God. Verse 8 says, then I shall not be moved. I think that's a declaration that David could make in light of the previous verses in that chapter, and knowing who he was, who God was, and what God had done for him so far in those past victories. He says, I shall not be moved. That can be our declaration today, because our hope is in Jesus Christ. Our hope and our anchor is in Christ. And we have that unshakable hope and faith. In this world, believers and unbelievers alike will go through trials and troubles. But Jesus said, don't be afraid, be encouraged, because I have overcome the world. And then that frees us up so that we can follow the counsel of God, the directions of God, the leading of God. The believer has received that grace and that Spirit of God preserving us as we go through those terrible times of trials and even persecution. And persecution is getting stronger, but because he lives, I can face tomorrow. And not only that, but those of us who have placed our faith and trust in Jesus Christ and what he did on the cross, we are able to spend eternity with him. And Paul wrote in Romans 6 verse 5, For if we have been united together in the likeness of his death, certainly we also shall be in the likeness of his resurrection. Looking at the remainder of Psalm 16, verses 9 through 11, we see that this is a messianic psalm. Let me look at that, verses 9 through 11. It says, "Therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoices. My flesh also will rest in hope. For you will not leave my soul in Sheol, or the grave, nor will you allow your Holy One to see corruption. You will show me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore." Here we see David the king and David the prophet. Both the Apostle Peter and the Apostle Paul, when they're talking about the bodily resurrection of Jesus Christ, quote these verses in chapter 16. In Acts chapter 2, Peter gives that great message and uses those verses, and thousands are saved. Of course, Paul in Acts chapter 13, that's your homework, to go into those chapters and see what those are all about. Acts chapter 2 and Acts chapter 13. Well, in this fallen world, that resurrection should make us glad. It gave David joy, I believe, and it should give us joy. Joy enough to worship him in song and in a lifestyle. Because of the gospel there in verses 9 through 11, it makes verses 1 through 9 possible. So don't quit. Don't give up. He says, "You will teach me the path." And we know that Jesus is the what? Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. So we don't have to give up. We don't have to quit. There is joy here. Don't run away. This is the place to go. God is the person to go to. There is joy in his presence forevermore. And so let's draw near to him. Let's come near to him. This life is not trouble-free, is it? And so you and I should then commit our way. Lord, I give it all to you, and I should commit my way and give it to him, and he will give you rest. Didn't he say that? And he will give you rest and peace and comfort and spiritual blessing. And we can then thrive here and now in the situation that you're in. We can still thrive mentally, physically, and spiritually, as well as for eternity. And only in God. As we listen to his counsel, as we listen to his teaching, as we listen to his word, and as we live in his presence, where there is joy forevermore. That's why we sing around here, "By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me." Well, that's my testimony, and I hope that's your testimony. Let me read verses 7 through 11 again of chapter 16. It says, "I will bless the Lord who has given me counsel. My heart also instructs me in the night seasons. I have set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I shall not be moved. Therefore, my heart is glad, and my glory rejoices, and my flesh also will rest in hope. For you will not leave my soul in Sheol, nor will you allow your Holy One to see corruption. And you will show me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy, and at your right hand are pleasures forevermore." Well, I hope that's a realization to you, and I hope that this has been a help to you as we experience life and in our walk with God, that we might experience that victory in Jesus. Well, join us again next time in our study of the Psalms. And we'll see you then.